Is the co-chair of the Economic Development Committee, along with Sam Donaldson, who will join us a little later. So, James, it's all yours.
Thank you for the introduction, Marlene. Greatly appreciate that. It's happy to be a part of this committee and serve as a co-chair along with Sam Donaldson. He'll be here about 10 o'clock with us all. Just want to thank you all for joining the meeting today. Before we get started, I'd like to kindly remind everyone to mute yourself during the presentation to avoid any background noise. There will be an opportunity at the end of the presentation for Q&A. In addition, today's slides will be shared with attendees in an email following the call. With that, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker, Michelle Marshall. Michelle has been with Inspira Health for over 19 years. As Assistant Vice President, Business Development and Strategy, Michelle oversees business development, strategic planning, real estate, construction, and design. Primary responsibility is to identify and execute on business development opportunities that advance the strategic goals of the organization. The inclusion of construction, design, and real estate in our portfolio helps ensure a seamless integration of these key components into the strategic and business development plans of the organization. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much, James, and thank you to the committee for inviting me today. I'm very happy to start my Tuesday with you and excited to have an opportunity to share a little bit about some of the work that Inspira is doing in the South Jersey community. If we have slides, I think they're coming soon. There we go. All righty. So again, thank you for having me today. We can jump right in. I wanted to start with our next slide, just giving an overview of Inspira Health. So most of you are probably at least somewhat familiar with us, but we are a 4-hospital system in Southern New Jersey, just over 700 beds. I'm still getting used to that 4-hospital system. Following the integration of Mannington, we were 3 hospitals for a very long time. So it's exciting to be able to say 4. We have 2 cancer centers, 8 multi-specialty health centers, and dozens of ambulatory locations throughout Cumberland, Salem, Gloucester, Atlantic, and Camden counties. We are covering about 1,500 square miles and more than 500,000 residents of South Jersey. Our employee numbers continue to grow. We have just over 7,600 employees, about 1,200 members on our medical staff. And another incredibly exciting development that I've been able to realize over the 19 years that I've been with the organization is the introduction of our residency program. And so we have more than 250 residents and fellows in 15 nationally recognized programs that have really transformed the way that we deliver care and just the feel and the atmosphere of the organization. So just a few quick statistics. We do just over 30,000 admissions every year. We see about 280,000 emergency department visits, about 3,200 births, and over 20,000 outpatient surgeries. So it is there's definitely a lot of activity going on within the walls of the system. If we flip to the next slide, I just want to spend a couple moments talking about the healthcare landscape and the headwinds that we're facing. And I know I have some colleagues I heard in the introductions, and I'm sure they can echo these challenges that we're facing. There is no shortage of challenge in the healthcare space, probably in just about all spaces. I think a lot of these ongoing challenges, particularly labor shortage, really has impacted all of us. But when we look at healthcare specifically, we know that we have an aging population, we have a diminishing workforce, both in terms of overall labor, physicians in particular. We're seeing sicker patients, really residual effects from COVID, and we're incredibly not strapped, but we're taxed from a reimbursement perspective, that our reimbursement is just not keeping pace with the expense increases, both from the labor side as well as from the supply chain side. But it's not all doom and gloom. There are strategies that we are investing in that are really helping us to address these financial pressures. And in particular, I want to speak with you today about growth and the continued reinvestment that we're making in our communities. We are right now completing our next 3-year strategic plan, and a significant component of that will really help us to establish our priorities as we look forward, including the growth both in terms of programs as well as locations that we expect to realize over the next 3 years. So in spite of these headwinds, we really are continuing to invest in our community, enhancing our service offerings and expanding our access. And that's what I'd like to spend the next few minutes talking to you about, are just some of the ways that we're doing that. So if we can flip to the next slide, we can skip this one and jump right in. So this is one of my favorite program development service offering stories. We opened an autism diagnostic center at our Woodbury campus in the fourth quarter of 2023. New Jersey has the second highest rate of autism in the nation. It's about 1 in 35 or 2.8% of 8-year-old children have some type of autism spectrum disorder. And we were finding that our child partial hospitalization program under our behavioral health service line was receiving referrals for children who were prescribed the wrong medications. Often that was exacerbating their behavioral health issues. And what they realized was that these kids were actually on the spectrum, but they didn't have an official diagnosis. And you can see the map there where you've got our Inspira service area with the big red circle and no little red pins. Those pins represent the autism diagnostic centers in South Jersey. And there were none immediately in our region. So we were able to pivot pretty quickly, open up a center that really is focused on providing these autism diagnostic services with the goal of diagnosing children earlier. The earlier they're diagnosed, the more successful they are in their treatment plan and in their overall life progression. So this center opened in, I said 2004, or 2023 rather, quarter 4. We've already seen over 100 children for evaluation, and what a difference this is going to make in the lives of our communities that we serve and getting our kids on the right track for success. So very excited to be able to bring this much needed service offering into our community. And we're in the process right now of developing a similar center at our Bridgeton campus to again expand that reach and provide a much needed service to the community. If we move to the next slide, I'll shift to talk a little bit about some of our construction projects. So anyone familiar with the Deptford Mall may have been watching the transformation of the old Dick's Sporting Goods that's across the street. I think it's safe to say this no longer looks like a Dick's Sporting Goods. Very excited to say we've got an 80,000 square foot state-of-the-art health center that is expected to open in the spring of 2024. This represents about a $50 million investment back into our community. We've seen over 100 jobs that have been created in the construction and the trades as we've been getting this building ready for occupancy. And you can see on the screen a wide variety of services that will be offered. So we are very excited that this should be coming online in the spring and really helps to create a very significant healthcare presence in Deptford, which is such a keenly located township and city, being right off of Route 55. We've seen the success that Nemours has made in terms of offering children's services here in Deptford. And so we're glad to be able to join that community and really expand the healthcare presence and footprint that we see within that. All of the services noted will be opening in the spring, with the exception of a shell space that we are reserving for future development for an ambulatory surgery center. So there will be more work to come, more investment to come, but we're very excited to bring this service online for the residents of Deptford and the surrounding communities. If we flip to the next slide, there's been a lot of work going on in Woodbury. So while we moved our acute care operations to the new Mullica Hill Hospital in 2019, we have continued to operate services in Woodbury, actually in the old Woodbury Hospital. And this project really sets us up for future development that I'll talk about in a moment. But right now we are in the final stages of construction of a new 43,000 square foot, 2-story building that will house our satellite emergency department and our inpatient behavioral health unit. This project has been ongoing for about 18 months, and the stats on it are amazing. Over 150 construction jobs created, more than 150,000 man hours that have gone into getting us to where we are. Some of these numbers just astound me. 316 tons of steel, 58 miles of electrical wiring, 7,000 pounds of mechanical ductwork. Of the 43,000 square feet, there's actually 16 different types of flooring materials. So while I'm in construction, I'm still always fascinated by these numbers that come out and just the attention to detail that goes into constructing one of these facilities. And this really will be another state-of-the-art center. There's some particular features on the behavioral health inpatient side that I'm really proud that we'll be offering. There will be an outdoor half-court basketball court that is on the second floor, as well as a horticultural therapy space that we can use to really help our patients just with another way of coping with the challenges that they're going through. So this is an incredibly innovative space, and again, represents our continued commitment to the Woodbury community. In addition to this building, we do have an EMS station that we are constructing a little further down the block on in the same area. That will give us the ability to house additional EMS vehicles at another critical point for distributing them throughout South Jersey. And over the last year or so, we've done some significant investments in our Woodbury Medical Office building. So we have a strong commitment to the Woodbury community and continuing to offer great service to the residents of that region. This is really a setup project. So as exciting as this is, it gets better. So if we flip to the next slide, what this construction does is that it's really the enabler for a much larger vision around the redevelopment of the Woodbury campus and what we are calling the Woodbury Health and Education Innovation District. This really represents the intersection of health and economic development in an incredibly exciting way. So once that new satellite ED and behavioral health center is built, we'll be able to move services out of the old Woodbury Hospital. And that will help us clear the way to be able to bring that hospital down and redevelop that area with a focus on creating a destination, really looking at complementary services that help to create this hub of health, education, and innovation. And so right now we are in the planning process, but there are several opportunities that have been identified in that planning process. So we're looking at market rate housing. We're looking at developing a center for innovation in community health. We were chatting a little bit before everyone got on the call today about AI as one of the disruptors of the industry. But what a transformational opportunity to look at delivering care differently. And we'd love to set this up to really foster some of that innovation, particularly in the world of senior care, because we know that our population continues to age, and we are really going to have to pivot in the way that we are delivering care to our seniors. So we're looking at an innovation center here, attached hotel and conference center, restaurant, convenience retail, and senior housing that would really help to complement and bring that all together. So this will be a long-term project, probably 7 to 10 years to see all of these components come to fruition. But you have to start somewhere, and we're starting with a vision. We've worked very closely with the city of Woodbury. They are on board and excited about this. So there will certainly be more to come as this moves forward. But what a great economic driver and opportunity for us within the community. If we flip to the next slide, no discussion would be complete without talking a little bit about the integration of Mannington into the Inspira Health family that was completed in the fall of 23. We've really focused a lot on workforce stabilization, on enhancing the staffing that we have at the Mannington facility, and really reinvesting in that facility, both the building and the equipment, so that we are providing the top quality care that our community deserves. And that commitment continues as we look forward into 2024. We're going to be working on implementing some workforce, some safety tools for our staff, upgrading our Wi-Fi connectivity, looking at renovating the ICU. So there's a lot of work that will continue at Mannington, enabling us to provide better care and also creating jobs for folks as we go through these facility-based upgrades. We flip to the next slide, just a quick touch on our ambulatory development. So I think we all know that healthcare very much is moving out of hospitals. We are not nearly as hospital centric as we used to be. And so the two projects on the screen really represent an opportunity for us to expand access for primary care in two different communities. So on the left is an old Pier 1 that we are converting into a 9,500 square foot primary care office. This will also be a hub for our residency program. So not only are we providing care, creating jobs, expanding access, we're teaching the future physicians right here in our community. And that's expected to open in the fall of 24. And we've expanded our primary care presence in Mullica Hill, actually more than doubling the current space that primary care has in that complex, and giving us the ability to increase their access and then also backfill their space with other services that are needed in the community. So two very exciting projects, one that's near completion, one that's on its way to completion, that will really have a positive impact on our community. Lastly, I want to just touch a little bit on our staffing. And so if we flip to the next slide, we're highlighting here really the work that we've done on our medical staff. As we expand our footprint, as we expand our service offerings, we need to make sure that we are finding staff that help to support that and continue to expand the provision of care. It was a very exciting year for Inspira in 2023 regarding our employed physician and advanced practice providers. We brought on over 60 providers, which, when you consider the fact that probably less than 10 years ago, we only had a handful of employed physicians and APPs, that's really an incredible number. And it just shows the need in the community and the investment that we are making, both in the primary care space as well as across the board in the specialty spaces to ensure that we're providing the care the community needs. In addition to our physicians, we had more than 1,400 external hires that we brought into the Inspira family. As we are expanding our care, we're expanding our workforce, and just really thankful and blessed to be able to be such an economic driver within the communities that we serve. So with that, I think I am complete. I appreciate your time, and I would welcome any questions that you might have. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you, Michelle, for that very informative presentation. We greatly appreciate you being with us this morning. Before we open the floor for questions, please make sure to utilize the hand raise feature, and I'll call on each person to ask their question. If you're unfamiliar with this option, please click the reactions button at the bottom of the screen and select raise hand. Please remain muted to avoid any background noise until called upon. Questions?
Do I get an easy morning?
Marlene.
Yes, I just learned how to use that. How about that? Well, these are some great existing and future economic development projects that add to the growth of South Jersey. And I know we have quite a few economic development professionals online, as well as engineers and architects. And I know the question must be, or at least it is for me, is there a facilities director, or Michelle, is it you that someone would contact to learn more about opportunities for future development, some of which you talked about this morning?
Yep, any of those types of inquiries can be directed to me. I would welcome the opportunity to connect and learn more about companies. We really try to look for local partners. So I love the fact that everyone on this call has a South Jersey South Jersey connection. And, I will make sure that if my information is not already included somewhere, I will get it over to Alyssa so that it can be shared and follow up.
Excellent, thank you. I'm just so proud of the work that our hospital system is. Turn that off. Our hospital systems are doing in South Jersey, and some of you are on the line. So a big thank you for, in addition to economic development, as well as excellent healthcare services. So that was my question, and I know that I just see Sam popping on. So James, I'll put this back to you.
Yes, next question is coming from Mr. Mike Gorman.
Yes, thank you very much. As a college, we're developing nurses on a regular basis, and we know that we can't provide enough fast enough to make everything reach equilibrium. But what I'm really curious about, and it's not a question to be answered here, but to get more out as far as ancillary professions associated with healthcare, because not everybody's going to be a doctor, not everybody's going to be a nurse, but there are a host of other professions associated with the Inspira growth as well as other hospitals that we don't always know what that next step is. So whatever could be shared down the road, greatly appreciated.
Yeah, that's a great point. And we have been actively seeking opportunities to partner with the education sector to think about that pipeline and all of the components that it entails, as well as really focusing. Sorry about that. I think I got kicked off for a moment. Guess you'd had enough of me.
We have Michelle back? I think so.
I am. Can you hear me?
All right. Yes, we can. Thank you.
Not sure what happened there. Sorry about that.
Any other questions?
Michelle, Tom Bianca from Gloucester County. What would you say the most, with AI coming and automation, what do you see in the future of healthcare?
Wow, that's a big question.
Yes, correct. And what is being used at the hospital or thinking about using in the next 10 years?
So, there are, depending on where you start and how you define that, there are a ton of answers to it. So you have everything from, your AI bot on your website that can help with question and answer if patients are, looking for direction on service, to AI tools that can scrub a medical record or can assist with interpreting radiographic images to identify possible cancers, lesions, other abnormalities, to things like virtual nursing and really just utilizing programs that more focus on providing care, not necessarily at the bedside. So what we are trying to do at Inspira, and I would welcome any of the other healthcare organizations to come on. Aaron, I see you. You're right in the middle of my screen. Is trying to make sure that we focus on AI as an enabling strategy for all of the work that we're doing. So instead of saying, I'm going to have an AI strategy where you kind of force the issue, you say, I have a challenge with recruiting nurses. How can AI help me fix that problem? I have a challenge with XYZ. How is AI a solution? And so it really gives a very, a broad applicability for a developing technology. Aaron, I don't know if you might want to add anything that you're seeing there at Jefferson.
Sure. First, Michelle, wonderful presentation, and just so the group knows philosophically, from a Jefferson standpoint, it's important that we have all the health systems within the region functioning at a high level because, wherever I've been, whether it's California, Buffalo, or wherever region I've been, it's always been the best, and the patients ultimately benefit from, everybody collaborating together because there's no one system that can take care of the whole entire community. So I just wanted to make sure I put that out there. In response to the AI comment, I agree with a lot what a lot of what Michelle is saying. It's similar in the other industries right now in terms of the AI use that there's certainly practical applications that can streamline a lot of processes and improve customer service. But I think there's a level of hesitation and trepidation with it fully replacing, let's say, clinical autonomy, right? So, I mean, things that exist currently within the hospitals, I think about the immediate thing was dragging technology for radiologists to easily transcribe. Those are things that we view and we've used for quite some time to help supplement a lot of the clinical work that's going on. I think, and I agree with Michelle, that there's going to be a lot of applications for AI. Right now, that's one of those things that we haven't fully developed in terms of strategy. And it sounds like Michelle and other healthcare colleagues that we talked about is still kind of in the development phase. I think it will be a game changer. It will have a big impact on the industries. And I know that from, the vendors that we work with, it's Philips, Samsung, a lot of the radiology technology I talked about, laboratory technology. The intended use for it is to make things easier. And Michelle hit on the workforce shortages and the challenge that we still have. I think us as a healthcare industry, we also need to be thinking in that direction where, as it becomes more difficult, getting the recruits, whether it's from the nursing profession, physician profession, how do you have a team-based approach to a lot of the staffing models that we have? But really, it's still TBD. To Mike's comment earlier, you're absolutely right that there are more disciplines within the hospitals and within the healthcare industry that have challenges beyond nursing, although nursing more often than not is more than 50% of the workforce. But I could think of several allied health positions that just throughout the years, when we talk about laboratory professionals, so CLSs, clinical laboratory scientists, we talk about some of the imaging technicians right now, where there seems to be a shortage here and even in Philadelphia that we struggle with in our system. So there's opportunities to further build those pipelines. And I think it's fantastic discussion for our local education system to talk about here, because at the end of the day, we want to be a vital part of the community strategy to say, hey, as we further invest in certain education, what areas should it be in? And how do we make sure that the workforce remains in South Jersey? So I'd love to be a part of that conversation as well, because I can certainly tell you, not even because you can make an argument, those are still clinical in nature, but we have HR positions. There's a lot of things that exist within the hospital system. I'm sure Michelle agrees that are fairly standard across industries that we can absolutely look into and work with one another to make sure that we have a robust and thriving pipeline.
Thank you, Aaron. Terrific information as well. Thank you. Other questions from the group? Marlene?
Am I up next? I think that Sam is on. Sam is our co-chair to James. And Sam, are you concluding or am I concluding?
Yeah, I think it's me, Marlene, but I'll do whatever you tell me. You're always in charge. But
You go right ahead. I am very lucky, and as all of us are in the office, to have two strong co-chairs for this important committee. So I'm going to leave it to you.
well, thank you very much, Marlene. And obviously it goes without saying that much of the credit, if almost all the credit, goes to you, to Ben, Alyssa, the rest of the staff there at the Development Council. So really appreciate your help as always. My name is Sam Donaldson with AECOM. I'm the co-chair, as Marlene mentioned, with James for the Economic Development Committee. So, but first, the biggest thanks goes to Michelle today for spending your time with us. We know you're very busy. We appreciate the great information and your time in the presentation today. So thank you. We really appreciate it. As a lifelong South Jersey resident, certainly appreciate the investment that your company is putting into South Jersey. And I think, as Aaron just said there, and to keeping these good paying jobs in the region. So really appreciate that greatly. So to close it all out, again, I want to thank everyone for attending. We had a fantastic turnout today, so thank you. Just to remind everyone, the next upcoming SNJDC event will be the Public Policy Speaker Series with Congressman Andy Kim. That is on February 27th in person at the Tavistock Country Club. So always good to hear from Congressman Kim, in particular with the interesting race that he is in now and how it's shaping up. So that will no doubt be a very insightful time. I certainly encourage all of you to be in attendance of that. I believe you should be able to register by clicking the hyperlink in today's agenda. If you have any issues with that, certainly by all means, just reach out to the Development Council and somebody can help you get registered for that. So unless there's anything else, Marlene, a last thank you to everyone for joining us and just wish you a very great rest of the day.
Good. Thank you. Thank you
Thanks,
all.
everyone. Have a great day.
Yeah. Nice seeing you.